this has got to be one of the worst E3s of all time. Like, typically, the Electronic Entertainment Expo is kind of just, it's a conference of shock and awe. Like, normally, even if the games they're showing off are kind of sucky, like, normally, they're at least fun to look at. All the major game companies from Nintendo to PlayStation and Xbox, everybody takes the stage and basically shows off in the brightest and most colorful fashion possible their secret projects. But pretty much everybody that's come up to E3 this year has completely blown it. Ubisoft had completely crappy reveals, freaking Square Enix showed us cell phone games and pretty much nothing else, and now I just watched Capcom's conference, which was straight up boring. What's up, gamers? Dreamcastguy here, and you know what? I feel very conflicted right now, because actually, a lot of the games they're showing off during this conference are things that are probably going to be exceptionally fun. In fact, two of the things they talked in depth about is Resident Evil Village and freaking Monster Hunter Rise, which are actually two of my favorite games that have already been released this year. So let's try and go through this. Let's talk about these things and talk about why this was actually just such a dry freaking event, even if the games themselves might happen to be fun. Now, first and foremost, this was shockingly short. This entire thing was about 25 minutes, including the recap at the end where they just showed the trailers a second time. Oh my gosh. So let's start things off with the fact that I think the biggest reveal here, or perhaps the thing that was definitely the most positive, is they did announce that there's going to be Resident Evil Village downloadable content. Now, this is obviously not a shock, mostly because Resident Evil Village is completely burning up the sales charts. It's actually just completely overperforming. Everybody loves RE8, myself included. I mean, it completely blew me away. Now, the fact that they said there's downloadable content coming is pretty cool, but they just said they've only begun the development now, which means that if we're excited to play some like Heisenberg DLC or see some like side stories in this universe, it's probably going to be many months, if not an entire year, before we actually see any of this downloadable content. So this is a bit of a mood killer, but you know what? It's for the best. It's still going to be top-notch whenever it eventually comes out. They did also talk a bit about the downloadable content of Monster Hunter Rise. Now, they showed off an entire roadmap. It's going to have these like crossover events with the other Monster Hunter game that we're going to talk about, and it seems pretty good. More monsters, more weapons, more reasons to log in and play. You know, downloadable content talk, not exactly the most hype. Let's talk about the games that are actually new, because in this 25 minutes, they showed off two new games in depth, and one of them I don't think should be shown at an E3 showcase. Now let's start things off by talking about Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. Now this is a very anime-style RPG. It looks like it's going to have like turn-based combat. It looks like you're going to be able to like capture and train specific monsters, which I'm not even joking. In the trailer they called them monsties. This has some major like ooh-woo anime vibes, which isn't necessarily a problem, but you know, it just feels a bit strange because I really like Monster Hunter Rise. I'm a huge freaking fanboy for Monster Hunter World. This game looks like it's going to be much more cutesy and goofy. I'm going to play it. I am excited for it. And in fact, they're having a big demo for it coming up here in, I think, next week, coming out June 25th. And what's interesting is that this demo, it allows you to grind, it allows you to level up, and all of your progress is going to carry over to the main game of Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. Now that itself is actually pretty cool. In fact, I'd say this is the best announcement they did because at least it's new content, it's a new game, it's got some shock, it's got some reveals, and as somebody that definitely loves RPGs, I'm going to be playing it. This looks like something I would definitely get a kick out of, and I'll definitely enjoy leveling up and playing it all I can. Now let's talk about a game that feels a little bit out of place being shown on the E3 stage, mostly because it doesn't have a lot of gameplay to it. Now, of course, I'm talking about Ace Attorney. Now, I say this as a fan of the Ace Attorney games. I definitely enjoy them. They're fun to just play, good or bad, cracking mysteries, solving crimes. Like, the Ace Attorney games are definitely exciting. Well, they showed off a game that's brand new to us in the West. It's called Ace Attorney Chronicles. Now, basically what this is it's like this prequel where we're playing as an ancestor of Ace Attorney and solving a bunch of crimes in ancient London. People with top hats and monocles walking around during the Industrial Revolution. It looks like we're going to be teaming up with a guy named Sherlock Sholmes to try and solve a bunch of mysteries. Now, that's great. Here is my issue with it. They showed a lot of gameplay during this reveal. Now, the reason I'm putting gameplay in quotes is because these are just visual novels. There's like a little bit of like seek and find, there's a little bit of like puzzles and stuff, but for the most part, this gameplay is just a slideshow of pictures with a little bit of like voice acting over it. And a lot of this, they didn't even have voice acting. A lot of this was just straight up just characters being like, whoa, 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 whoa. That was a huge chunk of this presentation, was straight up Ace Attorney gameplay. I'm not saying that this was a mistake. I'm not going to act like whoever decided to do this was just a complete dummy. My thought is that this is just not super attention grabbing. This isn't exciting. Like, even if you're showing off a bad game, you can find a way to make it look exciting. You can make it like actually be attention grabbing, get some eyeballs on it. Having a game like this, which is very, very low tempo, is very, very chill. It's a game that you just relax and enjoy. This is a very strange game to bring out during your incredibly short press conference. 25 minutes, and you chose to show this. What about the mysterious project? There's like that game called Resident Evil Outrage. It's supposed to be like a Nintendo Switch online multiplayer style game or something, or maybe like it's gonna be like Revelations 3 and have like Rebecca Chambers. Like, there is other projects that we know exist. There's been talks about them that are bigger, flashier, better, more exciting than Ace Attorney. And I guess the reason they probably showed this off is because the Ace Attorney profits are so much. The development costs on these games are so incredibly low that even if they sell 10,000 or 100,000 copies, that's all money in the bank because it's just drawings on a screen. Like, it's just such a tiny dev team that's making these projects. And this isn't even a new game. Like, Ace Attorney Chronicles is a translation of a game that existed years ago in the East. They're finally bringing it to the West, which is exciting, but it's weird to see this on E3. Like, this is not something they should have dedicated minutes of content towards, especially because of how they ended this. Oh my gosh. They decided to do like what was basically like this in-depth trailer, a commercial for something called Capcom esports, which was like just an advertisement for some upcoming Capcom tournaments. You know, hey, check it out. Here's some random Street Fighter clips. Here's announcers going, oh man, bro, that's the #1 clip. Like, I don't care about esports that much. It's occasionally fun for me to watch a gigantic tournament with a huge cash prize. It's fun to see those little segments of like, you know, Evo finals or something like that. But taking the stage during E3 and using your very tiny time slot on these random projects feels out of place, out of tone, and frankly just very, very strange. I am conflicted. I'm actually a bit lost because I like Capcom. I like Capcom so much. Their games are some of my favorite games that have come out in the last couple of years. I still love Resident Evil so much, but as a press conference, this was just so dry. This was just so boring. This was just so listless. What the hell are you doing? E3 2021 has just been such a tremendous flop. It seems like each of these people is just walking on stage and committing seppuku. Like, what in the hell is going on? But what did you think about it? Are you excited for these games? Are you ready to play them? Or was this a conference that was super exciting to you? Because to me, it was a serious 3 out of 10. No, that's too mean. 5 out of 10. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 because, you know, I do think that Monster Hunter Uwu looks pretty freaking good. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. I just realized I forgot to change shirts. It's super, super hot here in Dallas. It's literally 100 degrees outside, so I'm wearing my stupid tank top. I'm melting. Oh, you can see my tattoo. Whatever. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.